Throughout history, there have been ancient stories about night terrors and visitations, stories of nightmares and dreams that have impacted villagers, stories centuries old. In more recent times, we often pride ourselves in being modern and advanced. As a result, the stories have died out. But a note of that old song still lingers. But what if I told you these ancient stories weren't just fables? What is an incubus or a succubus? It is a being without a physical form that can impact women or men whilst they sleep, entice in lust and derive an energy from that person. The purpose of these beings may not be clear, so let's examine a popular modern story that reminds us of our ancient past. A movie where a boy meets a girl, but this isn't your average love story. In 2008, Twilight, starring Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, and Taylor Lautner, came out and impacted many teenagers for the purpose of entertainment. Edward, played by Robert Pattinson, was a mysterious vampire, aged over a century old, yet his beauty drew Bella, played by Kristen Stewart, in. They eventually dated, married, and lived happily ever after. He even turned her into his own kin. The story doesn't end there, however. One of the clear indicators that Edward is in fact an incubus is the night visitations. You see, Edward had a fascination with Bella, so he would visit her at night. Bella also grew accustomed to nightmares that would perturb her to the point of screaming herself awake. Night terrors. This was her normal. Another indicator that Edward is a night demon is the fact that he glows and sparkles. What does this remind us of other than Lucifer himself? Does Angel of Light ring a bell? An interesting scene that is also symbolic is where Bella dreams of herself as an older woman, mistakenly thinking it was her grandmother at first, but then she realizes she's staring at her own reflection. This is a key in why vampires have been a cultural intrigue for centuries. This ties into the notion that people are often afraid of death and aging. This is why Bella wants to be changed. This is our nature. We live and we die. In Twilight, Bella doesn't have to, feeding off of other living beings instead, the way that a succubus would. But what if there was a supreme creator who had never wanted us to perish in the first place? There are scenes where Bella is seen running blissfully through the wind and trees. She looks radiant, beautiful even, and the total opposite of death. This was clearly what she had always wanted. She knew she was made for more. This work of fiction proposes the fantasy of living forever in wealth, health, beauty, and prosperity. What I'm proposing is, what if there is a God who has an even better vision for our life? What if we were never meant to die? And what if death is the price of our sinful nature? Our sin. What if, instead of Edward, Jesus is the true salvation, our Savior? This is what I'm asking.